We've got 7 juicy Reddit stories for you guys today, starting it off hot with am I the a-hole for throwing my pregnant sister-in-law's groceries away? This one has a mini update as well as a full update. We got am I the a-hole my mom feels like my sister should have married my husband instead of me? Am I the a-hole for calling my parents selfish for having me, knowing they'd pass down a hereditary illness and going low contact after they hid it, putting my child at risk too? Am I the a-hole for snapping at my wife and calling her crazy because she wants me to take a paternity test for my nephew? This one also has an update to it. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend's mother she raised an effing sociopath who needs to be in a facility? Am I the a-hole for not telling my boyfriend I could understand his language this whole time? And then finally ending it with a doozy. Am I the a-hole for complaining about the guy airing his nuts out at my dance studio? Chat, we got some hella juicy stories today. Let's get right into it. Am I the a-hole for throwing my pregnant sister-in-law's groceries away? My brother and his wife Laura, who is 7 months pregnant, are staying with us for a week or so since he's interviewing for jobs in the city my family and I are in. My kids love having their aunt and uncle around and everything's been great. Yesterday, Laura went out and came back with groceries. I thanked her, but told her that we don't expect them to do this. The kitchen is stocked and that we're just enjoying having them. She said that she wanted to and that most were cravings she's been having. I started helping her unload the bags and noticed that a lot of the snacks were with peanuts. Cookies, crackers, peanut butter, even some sort of cake fusion. It all made me uneasy because she knows my oldest son, 8 male, is extremely allergic. I don't keep anything of the kind in our home because we've had an incident when he was younger where we almost lost him. I didn't want to be rude, but I told her that I'm not comfortable with having the stuff in the house. She told me that she would be careful, that she wouldn't eat it around him or his siblings, and that she'd clean up after herself. That she was having intense cravings and needed them. Bro, if you're the guest in someone's house, the least you can do is listen to their rules. Yes, I get it, you're pregnant and there should be some sort of leniency towards you, but when somebody's life is on the line here and it's in their space, not yours, if you want those cravings, go out and get those cravings yourself. Like, do it outside of the home or for fuck's sake, go back to living by yourself. Look, I've had 4 kids and kind of get where she's coming from, although I never had to have something, but every woman is different. I made sure my son knew not to touch any of it and to leave her alone when she's eating them. That was that. Today, I woke up early to make breakfast and open the fridge only to be greeted by strawberries dipped in peanut butter left out without a container to chill. The peanut butter jar wasn't sealed properly next to them, and there were sandwiches on a plate because she likes the bread cold and soggy. I was pissed. I've read enough about airborne contamination to know that you can't really determine it, but I wasn't risking it. I grabbed a bag and started throwing everything in it. Our groceries, hers, I didn't care. I was going to take the bag, drive to a shelter, and let them know the situation. This woman was like, all right, I will put up with your needy pregnancy cravings that put my child's life at risk. But then for you to be like, I swear I'll be careful. I swear I'll make sure that there's no way that this could possibly affect your son and potentially kill him, and then go and do this. An insane level of disrespect here. Laura woke up while I was on my rampage, came down and asked all upset what I was doing. I was snippy with her and didn't try to hide it. We got in an argument with her defensively saying that I can't do this, that the baby needs it, and that it's cruel to put a pregnant woman through unsatisfied cravings. I told her bluntly that I don't give a single fuck. If she can't keep to her word, then I won't either, and that she'll live without her craving. My son can't say the same with his allergy. She went back upstairs, packed her bag, and came down, grabbed the bag of food, and left in a huff. My brother was at his interview and called me half an hour later to ask me what happened. He was upset with his wife, but also with me, because nothing happened at the end of the day. My son is fine. I told my husband when he came back from work, and he's completely on my side. I mean, this is just stupid. Like, oh, it's okay. He didn't actually get hurt. Maybe next time we should wait until he fucking dies for us to get mad. Like, what? That's insane, bro. Props to him for defending his wife. Going to bat for her takes balls, but like, you should also know, hey man, there's a certain level of like pregnancy leniency that you should get. Being fucking reckless doesn't fit in that level of leniency. I'm sorry. Like, you can't go rob a bank and be like, oh, wee woo, it was a pregnancy craving. I know that doesn't fit, but you can't eat a human being and be like, oh, wee woo, it was a pregnancy craving. Y'all should forgive me. Like, I don't know if that one fits either. Easy, not the a-hole, bro. I don't even know what to do in this situation. I guess it just depends on your relationship with your sibling. If you're trying to salvage it, like, yeah, maybe you should do a little extra to try to like keep the peace. But this woman needs to realize she is completely in the wrong here. Mini update. Like some people had predicted in the comments on the other sub, Laura did go straight to my family and started complaining. She hadn't twisted anything, told them the full honest story, and my mother was livid. She called me panting like she ran a marathon after she berated Laura to make sure my son is okay. So I can only imagine the riot act she read her. Apparently, even my stepdad gave Laura one of his disapproving frowns. My brother came back in the evening to get his stuff since Laura had only packed hers for some reason. He did apologize for what she did, said that he'll have a chat with her once she's calmed down. She's been inconsolable. He told me that she's been crying since she left my mom's house and that she now feels unwelcome and unloved in our family, and he blames me for it. Bitch, she did that herself. Like, first off, she's probably not unwelcome and unloved. She's just stupid. And people are calling her out on it. She hasn't done anything completely unforgivable yet. All she needs to do is be like, oh yeah, I kind of made a fucky wucky. I should not do that anymore. Like, that's all she has to do. My husband butted in and told him that it's enough, that whatever she's feeling doesn't cover half of what we felt, and that she needs to get over herself. That I've been scrubbing the house from top to bottom for hours because of her actions. I did get all panicky and went on a deep clean the whole house, especially the kitchen. But anyway, my brother left after he said there's no leveling with us when we're being this stubborn. Now that I've had time to get out of the state I was in, I do feel bad that she's distressed and feels unwelcomed in our family. That was never my goal. I've been debating sending her an apology, not for my actions because I stand by them, but for the way I went about it. I shouldn't have allowed the stuff in our house in the first place and could have been calmer about it after I opened the fridge. I think an apology is going to do yourself a disservice. You did the right thing, and I think you reacted in a way that I think anybody would react if their kid's life was in danger, which your kid's life was literally in danger. I think an apology isn't the right move. I think maybe reaching out and being like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, we still love you. You're still welcome in our family. You just need to realize how much you fucked up. Second long and full update. Starts it off with, warning, this is a long one, and if I wasn't an a-hole before, I sure am now. So after my mom berated Laura and my brother yelled at my husband and I took the advice I was given and sent them a long text, which ended up being a bit of a ramble about everything. How fucked the situation is, how we're disgusted by their stance, and how we'll be going low contact until we feel ready to be around them again. That was the day after my brother packed his bags and left. I was left on red and I thought that was that until a few days ago when I got a call from Laura. I thought about not answering it, but curiosity got the better of me. When I picked up, Laura tried to make awkward small talk, but I think she sensed I wasn't in the mood and got right to it. She apologized about her behavior, said she had no excuse other than her hormones, and we ended up having a long chat about everything. By the end of it, I actually felt better and like we could get past it and work on our relationship. She also mentioned that she would still like for my family and I to come to her birthday dinner. It wasn't going to happen in a restaurant anymore. I guess the hotel stay ended up costing them a lot, as some of you predicted, and that it was going to be at their house instead. I told her that I'll talk with my husband and get back to her. I also got a text from my brother apologizing and saying he was just trying to protect and stand by his wife. It was too soon to start mending things, as my husband pointed out, but he left the choice up to me, and I honestly believed her apology because she had never acted like that before, and she seemed actually ashamed of herself. Anyway, my sister, who was also apologized to because she also tore Laura a new one, and my parents also got an apology, were also invited, but my sister's kids wanted a cousin sleepover instead of going with us, so after talking it over with my sister, we agreed for them to have one at my house. My babysitters of a year are my next door neighbors. They're sweet and responsible 16-year-old twins who live with their single mom. They usually team up and tackle on my kids on date nights. There's a reason I'm mentioning this. With my sisters added 2 kids to the mix, I asked their mom if she was free to join their duo, and she agreed. So I called Laura and told her that Richard and I are coming. When we got to their house, Laura greeted my husband and I at the door. We handed her the gift and went in, but she seemed puzzled that we didn't have a trail of kids with us. So I reminded her that it's just us adults tonight. Same thing happened when my sister and her husband walked in. Dinner was awkward, no matter how we tried to lighten up the mood. And the conversation was stilted at best, but I thought it was at least a step forward. Laura asked this time about why the kids were not with us, that she had made special food for them. I never mentioned the kids when I got back to her, just my husband and I, but I felt like it was my fault that I didn't clarify, and so I apologized for it and thanked her for thinking of them. My sister chimed in that her kids and mine were having a cousin sleepover tonight, and how she was excited about our soon-to-be nephew to join them when he's here and older. Laura looked at her with a smile and said, "Yeah, I'm sure he'll be best friends with his cousins, as in my kids, and his step cousins, as in my sisters." This pissed me off because we don't use step anything with the kids, but I bit my tongue. For context, my sister is technically my stepsister. I know I use stepdad in my first post. I usually call him by his first name. I consider him a parental figure since he raised me since I was 10, but I had a dad and the title will always be his. My sister gave her a hurt look, but it was my brother who nudged his wife with a "what are you doing" look. A few minutes went by again with eating and light convo before Laura asked again about our kids, mainly who was watching them since all 4 parents are here. I told her that my neighbor and her daughters are babysitting, to which she laughed at and joked about how incompetent the girls and their mom must be to need all 3 of them to wrangle the kids. Girl, 1 adult and 2 teenagers is honestly not enough for 4 kids. Like, if you are outnumbered by the amount of kids you're caring for, you could always use more hands on deck. That is my opinion. Also, for context, I have 4 kids. I'm biased and like to think they're all well behaved, but there's sometimes too much for one person to handle, even me. And I'm the one that brought them into this world. Add my sister's 2 kids, and it's a lot for 2 teenage girls to handle even for just a few hours. We left at 7 and said we'd be back at 11. It has absolutely nothing to do with the girls whom my kids adore or their mom, who is as kind as they come. Before I could retort anything, my mom stepped in with one of her smiles and told Laura that it's so kind of her to offer her own competence and watch the kids next time. That shut her up real fast. I love this mom, bro. She's great for berating her. She's great for the petty side comments like, "W mom." After that dinner was even more awkward until we cleared the table and Laura brought out dessert while my brother got the cake from the fridge. Here's where I lost the last of my remaining brain cells. I went to the bathroom, and when I came out, I saw my husband carrying my bag and trying to usher me out of the front door to leave. He looked pissed, and I was beyond confused and obviously resisted because, yes, the dinner is a train wreck, but let me at least say goodbye and give a lame excuse for our departure. When my husband tried to literally carry me out, I knew something was wrong, and after a couple of tries, I darted past him back to the dining room. Laura's now ready dessert table consisted of peanut butter cake pops, peanut butter pie, peanut butter cookies, peanut butter brownies, and to top it off, a peanut butter birthday cake that my brother brought in and was sniffing at with a horrified look. Girl, just say you want to kill the kid. Like, what? Laura then gave me a big smile and said loudly to my family, "I thought I should at least get to have my cravings on my birthday. Get your fill before she throw these out too." As much of a bitch as Laura is, that's really fucking funny. This is some reality show level shit. You would only see this like absolute fuckery on a reality TV show. I honestly thought for a second that my sister was going to tackle her, and I wasn't that far behind her because all I could think about was the fact that she thought my kids were coming and she planned this accordingly. I felt so guilty for allowing the stuff in our house the last time, and if my sister's kids hadn't wanted the sleepover, I was going to walk my son into danger a second time. I lost my shit. Without thinking about my actions, I grabbed Laura's head, forced her towards my brother, who was, I think, too shocked to react, and slammed her head straight into the cake. I held it down as long as I could while she flailed, and I told her I hope she chokes on her cravings before I let her go. Assault is never the answer. That being said, she deserved it. I honestly wanted to go for the pie too, but I had embarrassed myself enough by acting like that in the first place. So I told my brother that I'm done with both him and his wife, and if they try to contact me or my family again, I'm filing for a protective order. Then I let my husband lead me out. My sister was cackling as she followed us with her husband, but our parents stayed back. I heard Laura screaming profanities after us, but my stepdad raised his voice, which shut her up. I got a lot of jokes about his frown on my first post, but the man is as stoic as they come. Him showing any emotion is a big deal. I remember that his frown alone growing up was enough to literally stop my sister and I in our tracks because we knew if he gave us one that we messed up. I haven't asked my mom what happened after we left because I can't handle any more heartache from my brother or his actions. I don't think this was the update anyone wanted, least of all me, but I'm completely done with the both of them. Even though my brother looked like he had no idea, this stuff was in his house, happening under his damn roof. I'm sad I won't be in my nephew's life, and my kids won't get to know the new cousin they've been waiting for, but I'd rather cry over that than over my son's life. I don't expect anyone to be kind in the comments. I'm 32. I shouldn't have to be so naive. And I know I shouldn't have reacted like that. And I'm going to be dealing with that with my therapist, along with the guilt I'm feeling. But please take it easy on me. I'm still shaken up. I'm also looking into family therapy for my kids so they can better process not having their uncle and aunt around after them having been a close presence in their lives. I think there's redemption for the brother because the way that OP was describing his reaction, it sounded like he truly didn't know what was about to happen. I will say, dumbass. Like, how do you not know that, like, this is what your wife has cooking up, bro? Like, are you that terrible of a husband where you don't know, like, all these desserts that your wife had cooked up to basically spite your family? I do think OP is in the right for holding him accountable to it because, like, this is the hill that he's currently dying on, is this crazy ass woman that he brought into the family and now is wreaking havoc to said family. I don't know. Like I said, assault is not the answer, but y'all know my policy around fuck around and find out. Boy, did Laura fuck around and boy, did she find out via suffocating in a cake. Not the a-hole, bro. That deserved that severe of a punishment, in my opinion. If you think about it, she technically tried to kill that kid. How fucking crazy is that? Am I the a-hole? My mom feels my sister should have married my husband instead of me. I am upset at my mom and my sister because of something my mother said, but everyone around me feels I am overreacting. Please be brutally honest in telling me if I am being insecure or if my mom and my husband are wrong in this. Let me give you a bit of backstory. My husband, James, 34 male, and I, 29 female, were neighbors growing up. My sister, Fran, 34 female, was in the same grade as my husband growing up. Everyone knew my sister in school because she is very smart and beautiful. James had a huge crush on her, and all of us knew about it. He asked her out for senior prom, and Fran shot him down in front of the whole school. They still remained friends, but he moved to a different state for college, and we did not hear much from him except seeing him when he came back for holidays. James and I were never friends growing up, since I was in middle school when this happened. In fact, I was much younger than both of them. They would actively avoid me or not involve me in their hangouts and activities. I went to a good college and got my first job in the same city as James. My mom suggested I should contact James since I did not know anyone there. We became friends, and 3 years later, we got married. We both have high-paying jobs and love our life. We moved back to our hometown during COVID as James's mom had health issues and our jobs allowed us to work remotely. Fran also had a pretty good life. She married when she was 23 and her husband was pretty well off. 2 years ago, Fran discovered that he was cheating on her for almost the entire duration of their marriage with multiple partners, and she decided to break things off. Fran moved back with my mom. Fran had not worked for the entire duration of their marriage and was expecting to gain significant alimony from the divorce. However, due to complications regarding prenup, she barely got anything and is struggling financially. She got a job but is barely able to afford her own place and continues living with my mom. James and I were very supportive of her during the whole process. Since James and Fran were friends growing up, they both have a special bond. They have their inside jokes and stories, and sometimes I feel like a third wheel when we all meet. However, James keeps his distance and has never given me any reason to believe that he has lingering feelings for her. Fran, on the other hand, constantly visits us, like 2 to 3 times a week, and ends up staying for dinner and sleeping in our guest room. I don't mind her coming over, but I do not like the fact that she talks more to James than with me. Also, she always comes over when I'm not at home, and I often find them sitting next to each other on the sofa and watching TV when I get home. It sort of reminds me of my childhood where I was locked out of our basement when Fran had friends over and I would feel left out. Fran is also too comfortable around James and walks around the house in just a towel after her shower when James is around, or sleeps in her underwear in the guest room without locking the door. I have voiced my concerns to her, but she says that we are family and she does not care. I have also voiced my concerns to James, and he does make efforts now to explain stories and inside jokes if Fran makes them. It's very sus that when she voiced her concerns to James, his reaction is like, oh, well, let me explain stories and inside jokes. Like, no, man, the real big problem here is that when OP comes home, you and Fran are just hanging out. Or like, you aren't more vocal about like, hey, Fran, I know we're family, but please don't walk around in your towel where I can see you. I mean, that in itself is just weird. I'm very undecided about how I feel about James at this point. The main issue happened this weekend. I was hanging out with my mom and Fran last weekend, and Fran was recollecting stories about how James would do her homework and do chores for her growing up. She said, he was so much in love with me and I felt guilty taking advantage of him. My mom jokingly said to her that, I wish you had the wits to marry James than your loser husband and you would have not been in this situation. Fran smiled after hearing that and nodded, but I was hurt by the comment. I protested to my mom that James is my husband and I do not want her to make such comments about him. My mom doubled down and said that she feels like it because both James and I are high earners, while Fran is struggling. So it would make sense if Fran was married to James and I would be fine since I do not need James to support me financially. So what, you want your daughter to be a loser leech for the rest of her life? I get it, that's like the traditional values or whatever, but like, is that really the life that you want for your daughter? For her to be a fucking loser? She kept on saying that it was a hypothetical and just wants both her daughters to be happy. I did not like those comments and told them to not speak like that about James and my marriage in general. Fran chimed in and told me that I should not take the comments so personally and I'm being too sensitive. However, I had a fight with both of them and I left. When I came home and told James, he also sided with my mom and Fran and told me that her mom just made a harmless joke. Yep, we don't fuck with James anymore. We do not fuck with James. I also raised the issue of Fran's behavior around our house since the situation, and despite everyone apologizing to me, things just don't feel right. Am I wrong here in reacting the way I did, or does everyone else have a point and I should be more secure about my relationship with James? Nah, bro, after James' reaction, I think there's something going on. This might be really fucked up for me to say. My initial reaction was like, girl, why would you get together with the guy who was obsessed with your older sister? I don't know, just like no way is that a good scenario to be in. OP is absolutely not the a-hole, but I would genuinely say that was not the right move. Like, that would be unattractive to me. Like, why would you get together with the guy who was literally your sister's like lap dog? Like, she's kind of sleeping in the bed that she made is what I'm saying. Mom's the a-hole for saying that. Fran is the a-hole for not understanding that she can't operate like this with OP's husband. And the husband is just such a piece of shit for not standing up for his wife. She wants her man. Here's the thing, guys. This is all just off of vibes. I think that OP's sister doesn't actually want her husband. I think she likes the attention. Or if she does want him, it's solely because she wants him to financially support her. She doesn't sound like somebody who is in it for love. I ain't saying she a gold digger. Chat, finish the line, because I can't. Am I the a-hole for calling my parents selfish for having me, knowing they'd pass down a hereditary illness and going low contact after they hit it, putting my child at risk too? I, 28 female, recently found out I have a serious hereditary illness that's going to screw up my life. OP did mention at the top here that it's Huntington's. And I am so mad I can barely type this out. It's a degenerative illness, no cure, nothing. My body's just gonna slowly get worse. And the kicker, my parents have known this could happen my whole life and never said a damn word. This illness runs in my family. My dad's mom had it. His sister, my aunt, died from it a few years ago. I was living overseas when she passed and my parents told me it was cancer. Cancer. They lied right to my face. It wasn't until I got diagnosed that they finally came clean and admitted she had the same illness I do. When I confronted them, my dad wouldn't even give me a straight answer. I asked if he had it too, and he dodged every single question, acting like I was overreacting. My mom, on the other hand, tried to justify it by saying they didn't want me living in fear. Are you kidding me? I could have been prepared. Instead, they chose to let me walk into this blind. And here's where it gets worse. I have a 2-year-old son. My child might have this, and they never told me I was at risk. I could have had him tested, made informed decisions, anything. But no, they took that from me, and now I live in constant fear for him too. Then my mom had the nerve to ask me if I would rather not been born than deal with this. Can you believe that? She turned it around on me, like I'm the monster for even thinking it. And you know what? Yes, I said it. Yes, I would rather not have been born than deal with this disease. They made a selfish choice and now I'm paying for it. They knew the risks and did it anyways for themselves. They wanted kids and now I'm stuck with this. I called them selfish and I meant every word. Now they're begging me not to tell my younger siblings. They don't know about this yet, haven't been tested, and my parents want to keep it that way. Bro, there's more of them. It's not just one kid you're hiding it from. It's a whole fucking fleet of kids. That's disgusting. They're hoping they'll get lucky, but I'm not going to lie to them. I refuse to let them be blindsided like I was. They deserve to know the truth. I've gone low contact with my parents. I can't stand to even think about them right now. My mom keeps trying to guilt trip me, saying they were just trying to protect me. Protect me from what? The truth? No, they weren't protecting me. They were protecting themselves from the guilt of knowing they passed this on. And now they want me to protect them too, but I won't. I love my son and my siblings too much to lie to them. Never seen an easier not the a-hole, bro. I don't even know how to address the moral implications of having kids knowing that they could have a deadly disease. I think the chance at life is a unique opportunity. I will say though, lying to them is crazy. It's one thing if you make that choice, but to not let your kids make the same choice is honestly worse. And not telling multiple siblings is just outrageous, man. If somebody's like, my one purpose in life is to have a family and my own family that's related to me, it's hard for me to be like, well, if you could pass down a disease, any disease, you shouldn't do that. I don't even know if I agree with that. Like if you want to gamble that is like your choice, but you have to suffer the consequences of it, right? And part of those consequences is one day telling your kid and letting your kid cope with that how they see fit. And if one of the ways that they cope with it is kind of how OP reacted, which is like, I would have much rather you not brought me into this world. Now I'm pissed at you. That's something that you need to take into account when you're deciding, hey, even though I can pass down Huntington's, I still want to bring kids into this world who could also have Huntington's. I don't necessarily think that's wrong. It's more the fact that they hid that possibility. It's the fact that they didn't communicate like, you being in the world is the best thing that we've ever done. We wouldn't have done anything different, but since you're in this world, here's all the information you need to know. I don't feel like I can die on a hill of like, you should or shouldn't have kids if you could potentially pass down Huntington's, but I will die on the hill of like, well, if you're gonna fucking do it, at least tell them. Am I the a-hole for snapping at my wife and calling her crazy because she wants me to take a paternity test for my nephew? My wife and I have been married for 10 years and together for 14. We are child-free. I also have a nephew who's currently 13, and I'm not gonna lie, he looks a lot like me and has a lot of the same facial features as me. I am really proud of him and we have a close bond. I have played a father-like role in his life since he was a kid. He has a deadbeat father and my sister divorced him long ago. Wait. Hold on. Homegirl thinks you slept with your sister? A couple of my family members have commented on how my nephew looks a lot like me, and while I initially thought it was wholesome, my wife, for some reason, became very insecure and started getting doubts. She was questioning why I needed to play such a prominent role in my nephew's life, why my nephew had autism, etc. The insinuations just became weird and made me uncomfortable. I do agree that my sister has played some part in my wife's insecurities because of her dry humor. During family gatherings, my sister jokes a lot about how wholesome it is that her son looks like me and that she couldn't be happier. It's obviously a joke, but I spoke to my sister and asked if she could tone it down a bit because it was making my wife a bit crazy. However, last night, my wife asked if I could take a paternity test just for her peace of mind. That's when I finally snapped and called her crazy and that marrying her was the biggest mistake of my life. I did immediately regret saying it because I meant none of it. My wife is the love of my life, but my wife got quiet and started crying shortly after, and I had to console her. All right, I'm not gonna lie, chat. This reaction here, I think just makes you more suspect. This is what the gaslighters do. They're like, oh, you're crazy. Like, you're the problem. It was a big mistake marrying you. You're just such a bad wife. I'm almost wondering if the wife kind of has merit. Not saying this is justified, but like, I mean, incest babies do have a higher rate of autism, and the sister is making jokes. I've always said like tests to see if someone is the parent from the spouse should only be asked for if there's merit to them, and I'm low-key wondering if this one has a little bit of merit to it. Okay, Okay, but saying that definitely isn't going to ease her crazy thoughts. That's what I'm saying, Caroline. Ooh, Caroline threw out that everyone sucks here. I kind of agree with that, bro. Here's the problem, chat, is like I see how this woman is overthinking it. I understand how she's connecting the dots here. I'm gonna go with everyone sucks here. The degrees of sucking are this wife sucks the most. Even though I think maybe some of her concerns are merited, if your accusation is that your husband slept with his sister, there needs to be more than just this like circumstantial evidence of he has autism, he hangs out with him a lot, he looks like him. Those have explanations. I want solid evidence if you are going to go nuclear and be like, I need a paternity test for your sister's child, implying that you slept with your sister. That being said, I also think OP's the a-hole here too. His reaction calling her crazy and that marrying her was the biggest mistake of his life is some emotional manipulator level shit. That is my final answer. Quick update. The gist of it is that I've agreed to take the test, but under certain conditions. I understand my wife is being paranoid and delusional, but I want to take the test just to ease whatever irrational fear she has. Sometimes these fears have no logic, and I too have had some irrational fears before, and there was no logic in them. I spoke to my sister about it today, and she was obviously pretty angry at my wife. However, my sister and I discussed it at length, and she agreed to the test under certain conditions. All right, this is kind of a W husband move. I don't think he owes her this. I have to applaud him trying to be understanding of her emotions right now. I spoke to my wife after and told her I would take the test under some conditions. My wife was very happy that I had agreed to take the test, and I then told her the conditions. The first condition being that she had to stop these insinuations immediately. My wife immediately agreed to it. The second condition being that there were going to be no more arguments on me spending time with my sister and nephew. My wife and I have had some arguments over the years where she asks why I spend so much time at their house. My wife agreed to the condition, although she took some time to think about it. The third and final condition was that I had liberty to go on vacations with my sister and my nephew without my wife being there. I told my wife up front that my sister doesn't want her to come on these vacations anymore. My wife was a bit more hesitant on this, but she ultimately agreed to it. That's probably my final update. Thanks everyone for the advice. Gender Ghost, I'm with you, bro. Where's the couples counseling? Where's the individual therapy? I agree with you, bro. Also, this third one is just like, that's not how being married to somebody works. You don't go on family vacations without your significant other who married into the family and is now a part of it. They're automatically invited. And for you to agree to not bring your own wife to those family vacations is very suspect to me. It's not very good husband of you. I don't know, man. This shit's all over the board. Like one moment OP does something that's very like nice and considerate of his wife, and then the next one is not. So this one was actually sent in by Couch Skittle, I believe. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend's mother she raised an effing sociopath who needs to be in a facility? So I, female 26, have a boyfriend, male 24, and recently he got into a dispute with the neighbor's kids. They accidentally kicked their football into our yard and they came into the garden to get it back. To be honest, I didn't care, but my boyfriend started screaming at these like 11-year-olds about how they're poorly raised and their parents should be ashamed. I was effing mortified. I sent the kid some chocolate and sweets and apologized profusely for his behavior. I was seeing red flags and told him this behavior was not normal. He kind of brushed me off and told him if he pulled anything like that again, he was gone. The next week, the ball came into our garden and I was about to throw it back to the kids when my boyfriend stormed outside and took the ball inside. I told the kids that I would bring it back in a minute. He went into the bathroom and emerged like 10 minutes later wearing gloves and a football covered in shit. His own shit. What the fuck? I asked him if he was out of his fucking mind, but he stormed past me and threw it over the fence screaming, "Take that, you bitches." I screamed, and screamed at him about how he was an effing douche and I wanted him out of my house and he is a disgusting fucking monster and that they were just kids. I screamed and eventually he left. I deleted all his games off his PS4 and gave it to the kids as an apology. I was so embarrassed. My ex-boyfriend's mom messaged me asking what happened and I responded with, "What happened? What happened? You are a pathetic excuse of a woman who raised an effing sociopath who covered a football in his own shit and threw it at some kids, and he needs to be in a facility because something is wrong with him. And God knows how I hadn't seen any red flags about the effing monster you raised during the 7 months we dated. I know I am in the right for what I did to my boyfriend, but am I in the wrong for snapping at the mother for something she had no direct involvement in? I mean, yeah, that mother caught the meanest stray. This mom's like, I'm just trying to understand what happened to the woman who I thought maybe might become my daughter-in-law. And then this woman just absolutely berates the hell out of her. Don't get me wrong. Your reaction to your boyfriend, perfectly merited. What the actual fuck? I get it. Maybe some people don't like it when people are in their yard, but like, for fuck's sake, don't take their ball and shit on it. Like, there are very few things in this world where that reaction is merited. But the reaction that you had to the mother is in itself a red flag. Like, it's not like the mom was saying like you were in the wrong or the mom was berating you. She was just like, hey, what happened? This is worse than popping the ball. The level of like premeditation, like just being like, oh, you know what I'm gonna do to those kids next time that the ball goes over the fence? I'm gonna fucking shit on it. Like, that's crazy. Am I the a-hole for not telling my boyfriend I could understand his language this whole time? Advice needed. I, 18 female, have been with my boyfriend, 19 male, for 2 years now. This all started when we first met 3 years ago. I was new at our high school and he introduced me to his friend group, which had mostly French speakers. I've never been confident with my French speaking due to insecurity about my accent, but I can understand the language perfectly. I was just too embarrassed to let them know because I was scared they'd ask me to try to speak French with them. I got really close with the friend group and my boyfriend and I got together after 1 year of speaking. My not speaking French had never been a problem because he would speak English around me and always made sure his friends did the same. And it went on for so long that I just didn't have the heart to tell him that I could understand them anyways. The problem started in uni. We both got a house off campus together, but my boyfriend was always coming back really late. I had convinced myself that he was probably occupied with uni stuff, but the other night I overheard him talking on the phone to one of his French friends about how he hooked up with 3 different girls at the same time, and I was completely baffled. I confronted him, but instead of being apologetic, he got mad that I could actually understand what he was saying. I tried to come up with an excuse and say I managed to pick up the language after all the time we've been together, but he doesn't believe me since he never speaks French around me, and he said he can't trust me anymore. He's staying at a friend's house right now, and I don't know if I'm at fault here for not telling... Girl, who the fuck cares? Like, hold on. Hold the fucking phone. Why do you even care? This man cheated on you with 3 different girls. Who cares how he feels? Listen, should you have maybe disclosed to him that you can speak French? Yes, you should. If somebody can speak another language and you can understand them, I think it's polite to tell them that you can understand them, at least let them know. Just because, like, I do think a lot of people, like, talk shit in other languages about people. Like, I get it, they shouldn't be doing that, but I think it is polite to do so. That being said, bro, this man doesn't deserve it. Like, the fact that you caught him cheating and he's turning it on you. Hey, man, I know I just slept with 3 other girls, but... you really hurt my feelings by not telling me that you can speak French. I don't know, man. I think your thing was way worse. Oh my goodness, there's an update, chat. There's an update. Just wanted to clear up a few things. One, I didn't glaze over him cheating like it was nothing. Obviously, it's a big deal. He just didn't give me a chance to even confront him before he started crashing out, then left. And for everyone calling me stupid, obviously I know cheating is bad. I just thought I might also be in the wrong for withholding the truth for so long. Yes, I do think you are wrong for withholding that. In the entirety of this situation, this isn't the focus. More what I was trying to say was like, why are you writing this? You could be the biggest asshole to this man that you want to be at this point. And I would be like, he deserves it. 2, for everyone asking why I hid my French for so long, I've been taking speaking lessons to improve, not for the whole time we've been together, just more recently, and I wanted to surprise him when my accent was a lot better. 3, I do not live in a country where people speak mostly French. LOL, I'm literally in the UK. I just happened to meet a French friend group, so me not having a good accent is not much of a surprise. Have you heard people in the UK try to speak French? It's painful, LMAO. I only understand the language because I used to consume a lot of French media when I was younger. Even now, I don't know all the new slang and verlin they use, but I understand enough to respond in English after being spoken to in French. Anyways, after going through your comments and DMs, I've decided to just break up with him when I see him tomorrow. It's a sad way to end such a long relationship, but what can be done? Hope everyone has a great day. I mean, I'm glad she got there. Am I the a-hole for complaining about the guy airing his nuts out at my dance studio? Before we get into the last story, if you've gotten this far in the video, I'm guessing you're enjoying it. And if you want to enjoy all my future uploads, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any videos in the future. Also, if you'd like to be here live for those Reddit reads, go and check out my Twitch. Link should be in the description. I usually go live every Thursday and Sunday reading Reddit stories from Am I the A-hole and Best of Redditor updates. Join us for those live lives and even get a chance to be featured in videos just like this one. So I go to a pole dance studio in a small town. Very recently, they decided to make most of the classes co-ed, meaning men are allowed to join. I don't think anybody has an issue with this. Many of us are there working out in our underwear, but it's no different than the beach. Until Kevin gets to class. He wears these short, baggy shorts with no underwear on. And his genitals are frequently fully visible. He even jokes about it like, sorry in advance for anything you might see, ladies. Bro, come on, bro. Put that shit away. No girl wants to see that shit. The apology shows he knows his balls are out and he just doesn't care. He seems to think it's fine to flash his entire nutsack to a room full of unconsenting women. I'm all for sharing our space with men, but none of the women are exposing their genitalia like that. It's just not done in our dance studio. If you did that at a gym, they would tell you to cover up and leave. I'm thinking about sending an email to complain about it. It's even worse because he's one of the instructor's husbands. What? Am I overreacting or is this just wildly inappropriate? We've only been co-ed for like 2 months and I'm already having to look at men's ball sacks. Should I complain or would that make me an a-hole? I really don't want to have to look at this man's nutsack again in what used to be a safe space for women. Why, man? If he was just doing like one of these, sorry to be inappropriate, chat. If he was just doing like, you know, one of these, you know, I could understand that, bro. If you're pole dancing, for all my men in chat, like your shit's gonna get a little stuck. You might need to do a sneaky little pull here and there. But bro, nuts out in front of unconsenting women? Nah, ew. Nobody else wants to see that. Like, I feel like no self-respecting man wants people to unconsensually see his nutsack. And I will die on that hill. Like, if I'm at the gym and they're like, I'm in the guy's locker room, I'm changing in front of like my friends or something, like I'll do it. But it's not like I want to do it. It's not like I want some random dude on a Tuesday to look to his right and see my fucking nuts swinging. That's not normal.